And the biggest question I get as a business coach, I've coached several hundred of y'all at this point. The biggest question I get is what's the difference between a plan and a strategy? What's the difference between a plan and a strategy? A plan is something that is usually fixed based on a particular outcome. And let me go ahead and get the comments off here. It's just driving. There you go. It's like it's driving me nuts today. A plan is a fixed path that's based on a particular outcome. A strategy, which I love this, is a flexible allocation of resources. A plan has to do with you doing something specific. A strategy has to do with you moving or being flexible based on the resources at hand. I'll give a really simple example. My family and I love to travel a lot. So if I said, next summer, we're going to go to Florida, that's a plan. Sounds like a good one. It's like, all right, got two little kids, they're 8 and 11. They're like, "Yay, Daddy, we're gonna go to Florida. What are we gonna do in Florida? Well, we'll do this or that. Maybe we'll go to Tampa. Blah blah blah." That's a plan. Sounds good. A strategy is it gets to about almost 120 degrees, 117 to be precise, every summer in Vegas. It'll stay in the hundreds for a couple months. This past summer, thank God summer's done. Our strategy is to not be here and to be somewhere warm, but not as warm as here next summer. And as pieces come together, whether it's us figuring out our budget, if our budget's a little bit lower, then maybe we'll stay a little bit closer and I don't know, go back to Jersey, which is where my family's from. It'll be warm in Jersey. I want to say, almost said Jersey. It'll be warm in Jersey, but it definitely won't be as warm as being here in the desert, right? Or if ends up being a really nice financial year, I run my own businesses. It's like, oh, we're going to the Bahamas. Let's go. Which I've been there before. It's beautiful. Shout out to the Bahamas. It's like we're going there. That's a strategy. A plan is saying this is fixed. This is how we're going to do it. This is the path. This is the way. A strategy is basically saying this is the outcome that we want. Let's look at the resources, and as we get closer to it, we can modify it. That's the difference. Many, many years ago, I was interested in doing a television show. Wasn't sure how it was going to happen. I didn't know. A plan would have been, I live in Vegas now. I can't remember where I lived at the time. I think I was on the West Coast, might have been in San Diego, where I lived several years ago. So it might have been if the plan, looking at it plan wise, it would have been like, okay, well, I have some loose connections in Hollywood. Let me go and get up there. I have people popping up in my head as far as people in my network that have done stuff like that. I'm like, let me talk to them. Let me get together. And I did talk to them. Well, let me get together. Da, da, da. And then, okay, this is the path. I better go and get over to Century City or get over to Burbank, whatever, where they film all the TV shows. I better get up there and, my wife and I, we're settling down in San Diego. Maybe we should settle down in LA instead. That's a path. But the path led me to you. The pandemic hit. We're all at home. I was already a pro speaker. I can speak. I was already a keynote speaker, professional speaker. I already did a few TED Talks, and I was going in that direction. Then the pandemic hit, and then we weren't doing as much stuff in person. And so I wanted to stay connected to y'all. And I'm like, this feels like YouTube is different than I was expecting, but maybe we can rock with this. Y'all responded. And I love doing this. I can't see my career right now without working with Bring Your Worth TV and all the beautiful stuff that's come with it. That's the difference between a plan and a strategy. A plan is saying it's going to be this particular way. A strategy is saying, let's look at all the pieces. We know the energy, the general outcome. We know the intention of what we want to do. But the path to actually get there might be certain doors that are going to open that were not open before. Just this past week, just in the last few days, I was talking to a mentor of mine the other day. There's stuff that's happening in my career now, which again, I cannot wait to share with you guys. That if I had my way based on the past, it would have happened a year ago and would not have happened as well at all, at all. And I was talking to my mentor, and I get it. I was prevented from moving forward a year ago with this particular plan because I did have a plan. I'm not above that. I had this plan, and I was going to do it like this. I was going to show up like this. I was going to serve it like this. It was going to be perfect. And then this happened. And I revved it up again. Okay, well, this is the new plan. Da da da. And then this happened. I couldn't do it. And then when my focus isn't even on that thing, it was handed to me in a silver platter. And it's like, here you go. You got it, dog. You got it. Here you go. But that's because the focus, not 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 willingly, but definitely an learning experience for me was like, no, I had to lean on the strategy. The strategy is I want to have this particular type of experience for y'all, because it is something for y'all. And as far as me having this point in my career, it's different than saying it has to be this. It has to be this. That's when you get into plans. And often I've found whether it's parenting, whether it's in a relationship, whether it's in a personal business, even as far as, you might be a leader in an organization, or you might be an employee and someone's leading you, and things go left, and things are still fine. They just go in a different way. And how many times have you said, oh, well, this wasn't what I was thinking was going to happen? Or quite literally, this wasn't the plan. What is this? I don't get it. This wasn't the plan. That means that you had certain expectations that was going to be done in a fixed way. Strategy makes us go macro. It makes us go bigger. As I say in the newsletter, my favorite thing to say when I'm coaching someone in a coaching session, and if you've coached with me, you've inevitably heard me say this: going 5 years from now and looking backwards, is what you're doing today sustainable? And the answer is almost inevitably no. It's not a judgment on you, or I ask myself that all the time, not on me. It's just sometimes we get so focused on the micro and just trying to hustle, and we're in survival mode, particularly with independents like ourselves. Excuse me, we're just trying to get through the day or the week or the month or frankly the year. But now it's almost 2025. So there's simple actions you can take right now that will make your future self in October of 2025 thank you endlessly. Do the things while they're small. Focusing on strategy rather than the plan allows you to do that. The plan too easily can make us fixed. A strategy is I want to support side hustlers, solopreneurs, and other non traditional entrepreneurs who are underrepresented and who want to shine but are working with limited or different types of resources based on the resources I talk about and build from now: the focus, the agility, the time, or the energy. That's the strategy. Now, that path might get me back on the TED stage. Shout out to y'all that are at TED right now. It might take me to another book. It might take me to doing 5 shows like this a week instead of the 1 or 2 that I do now. Might take me on a whole different path. There's so much stuff I'm doing behind the scenes now because that's the path I've allowed it to take me. If I was focused on the plan of me being in front of my big head being in front of y'all 24 hours a day on this TV show, then there's certain things that was able to do this year that's actually going to elevate y'all in the future and elevate myself in the future. But that's because I was focused on the strategy of supporting you however possible versus being focused on the plan. It has to be in a fixed way. That's the difference. Hop in the comments. Let me know what your difference is between a plan and a strategy. And are there particular insights that you learned when you had a plan and it didn't go your way? If you want to talk more about plans and strategies, my guy, literally just came in the mail. This is strategy, Seth Godin. Shout out to Seth. I love you. Love your work. You know the vibes. This is strategy is a really good follow up to This is Marketing. I literally just started reading it. I've been a Seth fan for 20 years. I have older relatives, shout out to my mom, and other folks who have been Seth fans before that. This guy, excuse me, has a legacy in my household. I am not exaggerating. He has a great book called This is Marketing. I've talked about on the show. Came out about 2 years ago. 2 years ago? 3 years ago now. There's a follow up to that. I'm just going to read the back because the back is fire. Today is your best chance to improve tomorrow. Number one, the future comes one day at a time. Number two, your audience can be chosen. Number three, don't play games you can't win. Number four, projects can be managed. Number five, we make decisions. Number six, start over again. A difference can be made. Number seven, assets can be built. Number eight, networks can be created. Number nine, traction is the way forward. Number 10, oh, I love this one. Sunk costs can be ignored. And we'll repeat it. Sunk costs can be ignored. Number 11, information changes systems. Sure does. And number 12, you're not sitting in traffic, you are the traffic. Listen to me. You're not sitting in traffic, you are the traffic. I've worked with Seth in the past. I'm going to tell you exactly what he's saying. What he's saying is that it's you versus you. You saw the top of the program. We talked about this. It's you versus you, homie. It's only you. You're the only one in the arena. Shout out to Brene Brown. You're the only one in the arena. Not marina. Arena. You're not in the water. In the arena. You're the only one in the arena. That's it. Me showing up for y'all for like this is the 396th episode. I haven't been going against the YouTube algorithm. I haven't been going against y'all as far as showing up. It's been against me. Am I going to show up today as my full self? That requires strategy, and that goes much deeper than a plan. You know, mm, right? Sunk costs. Let's say that one more time. Sunk costs can be ignored. I don't care how much time you put into it. If it ain't working, it ain't working. Not much more to it. And yep, thank you. And my personal favorite quote: "You're not sitting in traffic. You are the traffic." So we can talk all day as far as people holding us back, as far as what the world being against us, and all those things. Like, I'm down for that conversation. And if you've seen my keynotes, they're all available. Almost all of them are available at bringyourworth.tv for free. Again, check it out. You can subscribe below. Like, I'll talk about that. Build from Now, again, my favorite book of the of the Bring Your Worth series, my personal favorite. I talk all about that. The introduction of Build from Now is about Hurricane Katrina, which, blessings to the folks down there. I lived in New Orleans when the Hurricane Katrina hit, and so I talk about that and how that's a good parable to some of the stuff we deal with if we have if we're not traditional entrepreneurs. So I'm down for that conversation. I've done whole books about it. That's not enough to stop us, though, and that's not a valid excuse to not make an impact on your world. As I talked about in today's newsletter, you plant that seed today, and you might not be there to see the shade, but it's going to be a tree for somebody else. Shout out to Seth. I can't wait to dive more into this book. I'm sure there'll be some upcoming videos where I'll go deeper into the book, but literally, I literally just got the book. So I was like, no, this is going up. We're talking about strategy today too. This is the guy to talk about it. I can't wait to effuse about it. Maybe in next week's newsletter, I'll talk about it. Speaking of Seth Godin, my guy, on the dip and when you should quit. Seth Godin, I bring you where short. Earlier this year, and even now, I've been experimenting with doing a lot shorter content, like 2 minutes long, just a piece or a smidgen or a bite, whatever term you want to use. This is one of them. This video is a minute and 15 seconds. That's it, I think. Might be a minute 30. It's less than a minute and a half. I'm talking about my favorite book of Seth Godin called The Dip, which is all about when to quit and when to keep going. And I give a good summary of it. At least I think it's a good summary. Good summary of it. Be sure, you can actually check it out on our sponsored short form. I think it's available on there. But just buy the book. The book is like 100 pages. The audiobook's 45 minutes. Just grab it. It's not going to be a waste of time. But I talk about it very briefly on there if you want to learn more about Seth's work and when you should let something go. I'm entrepreneurial coach Damon Brown, here to help you as a side hustler, a solopreneur, otherwise a non-traditional entrepreneur. You're watching Bring Your Work Show live on Wednesdays at 1:11 p.m. Pacific Standard Time, Vegas time. You can subscribe for free. And again, what's the difference between a plan and strategy for you? Um, do you find yourself planning more and then falling back on strategy when the plans don't work? How are you organizing your 2025? And are you doing more planning or are you doing more macro strategy? Love to hear in the comments. Feel free to jump in. All right. So